the MAGA cultists and whatnot, they are so dumb. They're going to see that their prices are going up and they're probably going to blame DEI for it. They don't even know what is causing the prices to go up now. They're going to blame immigrants. They're going to blame like trans people. They're going to blame DEI hires. It's so stupid. It's like 10 days or whatever. And he already kind of messes up everything. Chickens are infected with a woke DEI mind virus. It's all the left's fault. Yeah, it's probably Biden. It's literally just Obama's fault. Thanks, Obama. I mean, in order to understand that, they would need to get an understanding about economics, which I doubt most of them have, considering how bad the US schooling system is in a lot of cases. Oh yeah, but like, you know, they do love their uneducated people. That's why they're going after like schools and shit. But like, it's so wild to me as someone who is like not stuck in that echo chamber and whatnot, and who has a little brain cell maybe in their brain. Like, I just don't get it, because like you could literally just open your eyes and see what's going on. But like, these people don't even understand how the tariffs work. Now Elon Musk has control of the treasury payment system, so he can choose to take income away from anyone who doesn't bow down. Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what they're doing. Even the dumb people who voted for Trump don't deserve what is coming. And like, the biggest issue is that, like, imagine you touch a hot stove and you finally experience pain, but you blame the trans woman across the street for it. It's just so dumb. That's why I refuse to stop learning, even if it means looking outside the US to continue learning truth. We in Germany are also kind of screwed, because like our conservative party, which is probably going to go and get a lot of voters again, is partnering up with the far-right AfD, which means that the AfD actually has power, and that is scary. Like, the last time a far-right party was able to gain power in our Bundestag, it didn't go well. And I'm kind of terrified of that. And the thing is, like, you explain these things to people and they're like, nope, you're just fear-mongering. How bad can it be? Germany knows better. The thing is, like, you see what the far right is doing. You see the same rhetoric repeated over and over again. It's the same targets. Like, everything they're doing is literally the same. And because like the right-wing media is like such a huge empire, you know, they got all that disinformation bots, and they have it easier because they can be like, oh, you already know everything, just use your common sense. Oh, you know, like, you're the true German people and you need to be proud again of your country and whatnot. And people are like, oh, you know, actually that makes a lot of sense, blah blah blah. But like, they don't have the capability to think critically of propaganda. And that is like incredibly scary, because like, they're doing their propaganda, their emotions and whatnot. They're doing their populism and shit. And the thing is, like, what do we do on the left? Like, obviously in countries like America, where the left wing is basically center right, like, let's be real. And like, all these liberals are just like sitting back and watching and not doing anything about it. But like, we in Germany, we have a lot of old people, and a lot of old people vote for the same parties, you know, like they voted for, I don't know, SPD, CDU, like 60 years ago. They're going to still do it. And the thing is, like, these conservatives, all these far rights, like, what they're doing is like, oh, you're unhappy, that's their fault. They mess up everything, and then they're like, oh, actually, it's their fault. It's actually their fault. It's their fault. But they are not offering any solutions and whatnot. And all they're doing is just create more problems. Like, they're freaking out every time there's like inclusive language or whatnot, because like, women should feel included. When someone is using the masculine term, a lot of people in the center, they just like sit there and watch and just like, oh, you know, can't we find compromises? Oh, can't we just like talk it out? It's like, you can't really do that. The same with like in the US, when it's like, oh, you know, oh, free speech, like hate speech, lying, misinformation and whatnot. That is not covered by freedom of speech. That is not free speech. Like me insulting someone, me lying about someone. The defamation laws exist for a reason. They claimed the term free speech for themselves, and they got away with it. And they've been taking more and more. The thing is, like, what are you supposed to do against it? It's really frustrating, because like, you know, all the people who vote for like fascist parties, they are voting against their interests. But they are so unhappy, and they are not smart enough to connect the dots and actually do some digging. They fall for the for the right-wing propaganda, and then they vote for the parties who are making their lives even more miserable. And you try to explain these things to the people, you try to explain them the facts, and they just don't want to believe you. I hate that. Let's find a compromise talk. You can only find a compromise if both parties come to the table in good faith, and most right-wing parties only come to the table to shout hate. Oh yeah, exactly. It's just lying, constant lying. Immigrant did something bad, and like using that to justify their whole propaganda and whatnot, riling people up. Like, that's all they are doing. Like, you look at what they're actually pushing for, what like bills they vote on, what laws they want to pass and whatnot. And it's just the people who vote for these parties, they are negatively impacted by these right-wingers. And I think a lot of people on the center, on the left, have been ignoring that for too long. Because like with the AfD, it's like, oh, you know, oh, they got like their 5%. Oh, 5% is not that much. Oh, now it's 10%? Okay, but like nobody wants to work with them. Now it's 20%, and like the Conservative Party wants to vote for them, which gives them the power to decide whether or not something gets passed or not. That's scary, because they can be like, hey, you know, if you vote for us, like we can decide. I remember back in school, I don't know, it was like 18, 19, I was telling people how like every couple of generations history repeats itself, and 2025 is like when it is going down again. They're like, nah, you're just trolling. Now it's 2025. Here we are. They never believe me. Conservatives and right-wingers know their side lies all the time. They think every side does this, so logically whenever they whatever you say must be untrue. Yeah, if you show them any form of like facts or whatnot, it's like, oh, the scientists have been paid, oh, the experts are big pharma, oh, it's just propaganda, it's just an ego chamber, oh, you're not seeing all sides of the coin, you're stuck in gender ideology cult. I used to be a centrist back in like 2010s, but at this point I just couldn't possibly justify compromising when the alternative is just being evil. People on the center, like liberals and whatnot, they just haven't been doing shit in the past couple of decades. I think there's also like a lot of like ego going on, where it's like trusting that people know better, so you don't have to put in the work to convince people to actually vote for you, when you assume that anyone who votes for the right-wing party is actually going to realize that the right-wing party is bad for them. That's like the problem. And the thing is, like, now that like right-wingers have the confidence to like come out and like be publicly like xenophobic, racist, misogynistic, transphobic and whatnot, like they can like mobilize people and garner votes, get more power and whatnot by like fear-mongering and lying and whatnot, and nobody is there to hold them accountable. You saw that with like Elon doing the Schmazi salute, where like all these big media outlets and whatnot in the US were like, oh, you know, like it appears that Elon was you know, having an autistic moment on stage and actually just accidentally did something that might resemble the Roman salute if you think about it. Like, that was the coverage of that situation. And the thing is, like, if you're one of those people who are like watching, I don't know, Fox News or whatnot, and that is like your level of education, you're not going to get out of there. And the thing is, like, these people are blatantly lying all the time, and it's like tariffs are going to solve everything. Oh, like he cut Medicaid and whatnot, and it's like everything is like illegal and unconstitutional. At least trans women can't pee in women's restrooms anymore, because we put staff in front of the restroom to check everyone's genitalia. That's a win. Fox News isn't truly news. The day I learned that Fox News wasn't just a news site about foxes, I kinda cried. I wish they literally just showed foxes. Can The Onion please buy Fox News and turn it into a news site that only shows foxes? Like, that would make things so much more bearable. But yeah, that's like the problem. And a lot of people on the center, a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't care about politics. Oh, it doesn't affect me. I don't care. I don't have to look at what is going on in the world. I just see that I'm unhappy, and I vote for the party that says that all my unhappiness is caused by this small minority. And I'm just going to believe them. Because, like, what am I going to do? Actually sit down and do some research? I'm not part of that minority. My loved ones aren't part of that minority. I have never seen a trans woman in my entire life. Why should I care what happens to them? These are the people who vote for political parties who want to shove my friends into, concentration camps because they aren't the ones affected. But they are the ones who are affected, Because all the poor people and whatnot, they are affected. That's what they don't understand. But it's like right-wingers are constantly lying about DEI, woke, trans people, immigrants, fentanyl, crisis, China, TikTok. They're always just constantly lying. And they get away with it because they own the media empire. And the conservatives in other countries are just like jumping on the hype train because they want Elon's money. Conservatives in Canada just like bowing down to Trump. I'm so glad that like Trudeau actually like fired back. Because, like, on Twitter, I saw only conservatives being like, I stand with Trump. Like, actually, he punishes us, Canadians, because we haven't been good to him. And we haven't been good to the United States. And we need to do a better job for the United States. Me, as a conservative Canadian, I think that actually it's our fault that we are being punished. Does people have a punishment king? Yeah, it's the same with, like, transphobic trans people with, like, Brianna Wu going like, oh, like, this is not Trump's fault. Actually, this is the fault of trans people. We haven't been good enough to the cis people. We don't deserve representation. We don't deserve human rights because we haven't been bowing down and kneeling and kissing the boots of, like, these right-wing fascists. We could have, like, avoided all these things if we just bowed down and submitted to them. And it's like, Jesus Christ, that's only hot in like ASMR. I didn't expect these things actually being said out loud by like real people in this world. I'm a sub, but like, if you go after human rights and whatnot, I'm not going to submit to you. You gotta make me. I'm going to be defiant. Like vampire chains me up and trains me, like sign me up for that. But like, I don't know, Donald Trump puts you into a concentration camp. I'm not going to submit. And the thing is, like, all these trans people who are like bowing down to fascists, they're going to get the same treatment. It's the same with like Republican white women now being like, oh, I lost my job. I thought this anti-DEI scheme and whatnot only affected people of color, not gender. Oh my god, the leopards really ate my face too. I didn't believe that. And the thing is, like, these people are still not like evaluating or like re-evaluating their position. They're literally still sitting there and being like, maybe I deserve this. Maybe I wasn't qualified enough for my job. Maybe I just need to, I don't know, become a wife. Maybe women aren't as good as men, especially cis white men. I was like, oh god, the internalized misogyny is like running so deep. Happening the first they came so furiously right now. Yeah, exactly. It's the same with like Nancy Mace. It's so interesting to me. Like, this woman is literally dedicating their entire life to just harassing trans women and being, like, focused on bathrooms and whatnot. And being like, oh, this is what a real woman looks like. And then people like Matt Walsh are, like, quote tweeting that with, like, oh, we're coming after your job, too. The same with, like, Brianna Wu and, like, J.K. Rowling. We spent 30 minutes talking about our hair and people still think we are men. And, like, J.K. Rowling tweeted, like, quote tweeted that and was like making fun of that and being like, oh, you're playing into gender roles, gender norms and whatnot. And then Brianna was like, oh, Miss Rowling, please, I respect you so much. Actually, if you watch our podcast, you can see that we're actually on your side. Right-wingers, especially like right-wingers who are part of like oppressed groups, they have no class, they have no morals. They literally think that racist people will like them if they just spread their hatred too. They think misogynistic people will like them if they spread their misogynistic rhetoric as well. Like, it doesn't matter to them. You're nothing to these right-wingers except like something to hate. And it doesn't matter if you repeat their nonsense too or not. Jews for Hitler was a real political group. Oh god. Hitler actually didn't hate Jews. He just didn't like the Jewish people that were stealing all the jobs and like taking all the money and controlling the banks. But like he didn't actually mind Jewish people because like he actually had a crush on like a girl that was Jewish. And also like they are socialists. So actually they are not fascists. They are like the other side. Even though they also came after like socialists and communists and whatnot. I'm not racist. I have a black friend. I'm not racist. I have a black friend who is also racist. Can't believe copium existed all those years ago. Oh, it never stopped. Like, history literally repeats itself. But I mean, we have like conservatives, like straight people posing as gay people and being like, oh, we are the LGBT alliance. We don't fight for LGBT rights. We only fight to go after trans rights. Our only purpose is to spread misinformation about trans people, not actually fight for LGBT representation and rights. Because we're actually not gay or lesbian, because that's gross. Who will look master? We're the good ones. Yeah. You know what they say? If you just would have submitted, if you just would have obeyed, then you wouldn't have to force their hand and be punished. It's actually your fault. You know, like I'm beating you with a stick, but it's your fault that I'm beating you with a stick. You caused this.